Okay, so on our lightning tour of graphs, we're finally going to just do a very simple line graphs. We have a data set this time, which has basically stock price information for Apple and Merck. So here's the data. It's just a list of dates with Apple and Merck. Let's just look at the type of data. Again, this read Excel brings in this POSIX CT date, so I'm just going to transfer it. It actually works without doing this, but I like to be consistent, so I'm just going to transfer my date to use the as.date function to be a standard date. I think I did that in a previous example. So you now see that our data is of date type and our stock price is a numeric. So we're going to do a standard line plot. Again, we have the Y, and then a squiggle, and then an X as in a formula. So dependent variable, squiggle, independent variable where the independence is X. Got the name of the title. The X label is a date, and the Y label is a price. We're going to make it blue. We're just going to have type equals L. Remember I talked about types, I think it was last video or the video before. But for example, we could have just put B for both. And there we go. We get lines and we get kind of the dots as well. So let's turn it back to being a line graph. Again, if you want any help on the symbols, just question mark plot and the generic plotting. And there we have P for points, L for lines, B to both, etc., etc., etc. So you can play around, just do play around with that a little bit. Okay, so let's just redo that graph. And you can see it's just the share price over time, very simple. But I notice there's only one share price, and I promised you two. Well, we can actually add, we can use the lines command to add an extra line. Lines will remember I said you could do a plot and then you can add things to the plot. So lines will actually add another line. And we pass it in the same format. Basically, the Merck share price is the Y and the date is the X again. And we want to make it a different color. There we go. And now we have a legend command. The little was actually accidentally deleted, but I've put it back. And the legend just is, again, it's just like a key for the graph. So we're going to put it, this time we could send it position, top left. And remember the legend, you just type in the names of your labels. And then you pass it the colors. So Apple is blue, Merck is red. And LTY equals L. That just tells us that we want a line rather than a point. If we put P, would have got a point. Okay, so there we have a very simple line graph over time. Okay, now we're going to do something similar for ggplot. This actually took me a little time to work out because I had to work out how to add the legend with two geom lines. And the way I did it is, again, we've got the X here. We do two geom line commands. And the first one is the Y is Apple, and the second one, the Y is Merck. We set the color to be called Apple or Merck, but then we define these at the bottom with our scale color manual. And we say, hey, we're defining this on company where Apple is blue and Merck is red. We can also define the size of the line, the type of the line, and alpha. We didn't really need that, but alpha is just the level of transparency. 1 is completely solid. 0.5 is more transparent. So let's run this. Here we go. And, you know, we could play around with it. So we could have line type is 2. Let's just see what that does. So there we go. That's our scattered line. Line type is 3. And that's just like little dots. Do one more before we go back to 1. Okay, and that's kind of just a weird dot dash pattern. Let's go back to 1. Let's make my line thicker, but let's make it a little bit transparent. Okay, and let's run that. There we go, and you can see it's kind of it's thicker, but it's kind of a lighter color there. You know, we could have done 0.1, and it would be, the line would be almost gone. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. Our line is almost gone. Okay, so that was creating standard line plots. And again, with ggplot, I said I don't expect you to create these things from scratch. It's mostly be a case of using my code or other code on the web if you want to do a ggplot, because I realize it's not the easiest thing in the world, but ggplot is the main way that in industry people create R graphs. So I thought I really should include how to use ggplot in this class. Okay, that's it.